Good morning, everyone. This is Laura here. This is the start of a new series. Just finished my workout. It's a beautiful morning, and let's get right into the video. So, you want to be a coloring book illustrator. That's awesome. The thing I want to express to you more than anything else, though, is step number 1, which is take care of yourself. The reason why I'm very adamant about this is because I failed to do this the first coloring book that I produced. Unfortunately, it led to some pretty bad consequences. It left me ill, open to infection, and in general, very worn out and tired. And if you push yourself and you don't take care of yourself, then ultimately the work will suffer. I think some of the pages, looking back, I could have done a little bit better. But overall, I'm still really pleased with how hard I worked on my book. And I believe that all the pain and the consequences were worth it. I would do it all over again. I would just do it a little different. And so I really, really, really must say, number 1, take care of yourself. So what does this mean? It means making sure that you get daily exercise, that you try and eat as best you can, that you try and get out of the house every once in a while and go do other things. All of these things will add to your life, your quality of life. The experiences that you have will become inspiration for your work. And so you really must take care of yourself. Step number 2, I know this may sound silly or corny, but it's a very important part of this process. So step number 2 is love to draw. And this step pretty much weeds out those who will make it from those who won't. So that's why I include it here, even though it may seem obvious. And what I'm talking about is not just you've doodled once or twice a year and you think you're pretty decent at it. By step number 2 is you have to love it so much that you do it all the time. You have to love it like you love to eat, or you have to love it like you love, I don't know, I mean, anything that a human is conditioned to love, like, you know, I love taking showers, and I love breathing fresh air, and I love a big, cool glass of water. So, like, all these things, well, I love drawing just as much as getting a nice, cool glass of water. So, yeah, you gotta love to draw. I'll give you a little personal example. When I was a kid in high school, I was doodling all the time. I would doodle on my school assignments, my notes. I'd doodle all over my binders and my notebooks. I created little comic books about me and my friends. It was something that I did because I love it, and I just did it. Nobody told me I had to do it. I mean, I did do art class assignments, and I loved those too, but I would just do it on my own for no purpose or gain or anything. I just enjoyed it. And drawing is the foundation to painting, and while later on I became a painter, I have always loved to doodle, and I have always done it. Yeah, so you have to love to draw. Step number 3 is you don't have to do this step if you don't want to, but I'm taking you through my steps, what I've done. So just bear that in mind as we continue forward with the steps. I can't possibly cover everything because I don't know everything. But I'm going to just give you my suggestions and advice, and please take everything as you like. You know, it's like a menu you can pick from. Do whatever you like. Yes, step number 3, I highly recommend you daily doodle. And I started daily doodling in 2009. And I did it because I felt like there were areas of my artwork that could use improvement, and I still feel that way today, and that's why I still continue to do them today. So yeah, daily doodle. The great thing about daily doodling is that it gets you in the habit of doing something that you love to do, but you do it all the time. So when you go to pick up a pencil, there's less of that blank paper fear. I used to get that all the time, but I found that the more I draw on a regular basis, especially if I'm drawing all the time, then I'm not so fearful of a blank sheet of paper. I know that sounds silly, and some of you may not have that problem, but I suffered from that for a long time. Until I started daily doodling, and that pretty much cured me of the blank paper syndrome. So daily doodling also, I think, boosted my creativity, my passion for drawing and painting, and has really honed my skills and my craft, just because none of them have to be finished, none of them have to be perfect. It's all about exploring and learning and trying new things. And then I use what I learn in my finished artwork. I may not ever show anybody all of my doodles, but that doesn't mean that they aren't an important part of my journey, even if I don't share them with other people. So daily doodling is great, though. One thing I do want to wrap up daily doodling this step with is, if you are a coloring book artist or an inspiring coloring book artist, I would highly recommend that you work in the media that you plan to do your coloring books in. So, if you are a digital artist and you are drawing in Photoshop, Procreate, any one of those fancy tablet-y wonders, then draw your daily doodles in those media and try and draw black and white line art. This will help hone your craft and ability to draw nice, smooth line art. And also, what if you come up with a great doodle? You could just pop it right into your book and bada boom, page down, right? Bluebell Woods, my first book that I recently published, I drew 72 pages, or 76 maybe. I can't quite recall the precise number, but I drew quite a lot of pages to get to 42 pages. It was a lot of really harsh self-editing, and I think that that is a necessary part of the process, and I will talk more about that later. Okay, so yeah, so daily doodling, great fun. I think if you can find an artist buddy to do it with you and share your daily doodles online on social media, it will become something of a momentum to keep you going forward. And hey, if you can be producing whole coloring pages or parts of coloring pages in your daily doodles, then you're on your way to a coloring book. So number 4 is get inspired. So if you're watching this video, I'm assuming that you are probably one of these types of people who have been drawing for a while, whether you started coloring first or not, and maybe maybe you've been drawing for a while and you've been looking at coloring books and you think, well, you know, maybe I could do that. I think that would be really fun. You really have to look at coloring books in a unique way. When you draw or paint single works of art, or even works in a series, like in a small series. Oh, great. Well, I'm going to apologize right now for the background noise. I think that there has been construction started on my street. Maybe I'll re-record this if it's really bad. Okay, let's just hope it doesn't get bad. But anyway, so what I mean by step number 4, get inspired, is you have to nail down a couple of things about yourself, really explore, ask yourself deep questions about the notion of what's my favorite subject matter, because I think that if you start off your coloring book journey with your favorite type of artwork, then you'll probably be more likely to see it through. And also, you'll see that it's a great deal of fun, or you'll hate it. But you'll know that it isn't the subject matter that's keeping you from liking it. So in my case, I loved it. What I started doing is drawing fairies and little doodly creatures. I didn't really have any idea what I was doing, and you can kind of see that in my book. I drew in all kinds of media. It was kind of all over the place in my style. I was just trying to kind of feel my way around, and yet I really like the end result. It really is a document of my journey and my process. So in a way, I think it's really cool. It kind of shows me developing as an artist. So some pages are a lot better than others, but in the end, I feel overall I really had a lot of fun drawing that book. So you don't have to be a perfect line artist to get a book published. However, what you do need is a good cohesive theme. So for me, it was a fantasy theme with a very particular and unique setting. For you, it could be anything that makes you happy. So maybe you love drawing kitty cats, maybe mandalas are your thing, maybe you love drawing landscapes. Whatever your main focus is, that's totally up to you. I can't give you that. You have to look at all of your artwork that you've done in the past year and see what a current theme is that's running through your work. Maybe a great idea is to brainstorm and write down several ideas and then pick which one you think would sell better than all the others, because that's something else you need to consider, is how well things will sell. But in general, you have to do something that you love, because if it's the only book you ever produce, you want to make it your best or your favorite, or at least the best that you can produce at that moment. So get inspired. Also, this step also will be a little bit of research. I think that it's important to look at what other coloring book artists are doing, and then also look at the end results and how happy people are with their coloring pages. So what I did is, after Bluebell Woods was published, I really paid attention to what pages of mine were getting colored, and then I looked at other artists whose work sort of was similar to that style. So what I noticed is a lot of people were coloring the slightly grayscale images in my book, and not so much the pure line art. So I looked at people like Nick Filbert, Kerby Rosanes. Those are two top people who do a little bit of grayscale. I took a lot of cues from Grazia Salvo. You can see a lot of influence of her in my work. So a little bit of Christina too. I'll link all these people in the description below, so that way you can take a look at who really inspired me. But you have to find your own inspiration. So for me, I noticed that people were either doing the cartoony, really cartoony, whimsical style, or the grayscale style, and not so much the very realistic line art style. And I think on listening to my feedback from my fans is that the pure line art stuff was just very advanced, and they had trouble wrapping their head around it, and it was intimidating. And the last thing I wanted to do is intimidate people, so I adjusted my style, and I started grayscaling, lightly grayscaling most of my work, and now it seems that I've found the perfect level of helper grayscaling, if you will. But all of this was a very organic process for me. On looking back, I really was inspired both by my subject matter and also by the people who are very similar to my work. So it's not a bad thing to be inspired by other artists, as long as you do your own work and you do it in your own way and you don't outright copy other people. I think that it's a really nice way to explore what you like, is to look at what other people are doing and say, oh, I love this. Let me try to do something in that way, but I'm gonna do it like this instead, you know? So there's a lot of beautiful coloring books out there, and I really recommend taking a look. And the last, but maybe one of the most important steps in this video, now just FYI, you know, this isn't going to be the last step in this series. So, but the last step in this video is number 5, believe in yourself. And this may sound really corny again and really obvious, but being a coloring book artist is not an easy process. By the time you're done the whole book, it's like you've ran a marathon like 10 times over. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of hard work. So if you're not willing to put in a lot of hard work without any return on your money for a long time, now I'll talk later about ways to kind of get around this a little bit, but still, I mean, if you're producing a good, decent coloring book, you're going to be spending, I don't even know how many hours it took me, but you know, you're going to be spending months drawing something that you won't be able to sell right away. So just keep that in mind. But you have to believe in yourself. Even though it's a grueling process, I can tell you that the rewards and the benefits, and now the amazing work that I get to see every single day from people who are coloring my book and my pages, that is one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my entire life. And every day that someone colors my work, I get a little teary-eyed, and I get very happy, emotional. It is a amazing experience. So if you really want to be a coloring book artist, and you're willing to do what it takes, then you have to be able to believe in yourself. Nobody is going to hand it to you, but you can do it. If I did it on very few followers and really very little know-how and no guidance from anyone, I think that you can do it too. I think that it's a bit scary, but if you are a little bit brave and you believe that you can do it, then you will do it. So just don't give up and keep going, and the path will become clear to you. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I hope that this was useful. If it was, please hit that like button. And as always, I hope that you have a wonderful, magical time coloring.